YouTube Quinn Wade basketball analysis coming to you with that rundown analysis. Obviously, I've been out for like over a year. February 27th, I believe, last year is already past that this year. But I've still been talking basketball, just haven't been recording it as much. And it's still a fun thing to do for me. But other than that, I won't go through each bracket and tell you what I think is going to be quick thing like the rundown always been. Obviously, the Thunder played the Pelicans. They won 4-0. Shea Gilgeous is a rising superstar in this league. He can finish around the basket. He can take over games. He can step up in huge moments. He has some decent teammates. I think Jalen Williams, he been getting a lot of promo for being one of those top three players on that roster. He can handle, he can create, he can get his shot off. He can pass a little bit. Chet Holmgren, he is a baller, length, size, quickness, speed, ability to have touch, even from the 3 point line. This matchup was a little interesting just because Zion didn't play. I feel like that was a big difference. I don't think the series would have been a sweep if they had Zion, but I feel like it would have been more interesting just to have a guy that they can't guard either. I still think the Thunder win that series if they had Zion, but the Thunder is going in the right direction. They still going to need a fourth scorer because Jalen Williams is not a 25, 30-point scorer. I think he can cap out as a 22-point scorer, but I don't see anything else after that. And same with Chet. Could Chet be a 20-point scorer? Sure. But I don't think that that's, something that's a winning formula when you only got those three guys. I think they need some more depth on their bench, and they roster need a little bit more overhaul when it comes to the starting lineup because some guys are hit or miss, even on offense, even on defense. And the Pelicans, you just don't know what you're going to get out of this team because their leader is always out, coming to the playoffs or coming out of the playoffs. And I feel like, he's really great, when he does play, but he just can't continue to do this. Eventually, you wonder what can Zion really bring to the table since he can't play only but in spurts. And it's sad to see it, but that's just the truth. Well, the Clippers ended up playing the Mavericks, and the Mavericks won. This was another Zion case that Kawhi Leonard never really plays the whole series or never really plays to win anymore after he won the Toronto one. He rather focus on his health than focus on anything else. The Mavericks 4-2 them. I feel like they really gave them a push. They really gave them a boost for them to be prepared for OKC, which did go 6 games too. And I feel like the Clippers are slowly being the Titanic when they're going down and down and down each year. Their stock is going down, their play is going down, their trades make sense, but they just don't fit and mesh on a team because guys just not playing enough to build that chemistry. And I feel like the Clippers, even though they are a fan favorite team, even though people still haven't gave up on this team, they're done. You can't keep making the playoffs and your whole team is not playing well and you want to have this one magical run that everything goes your way and then you're going to win a championship. Teams are more prepared, teams are more talented, teams are more deeper, in the Western Conference. And then the Mavericks obviously played the Thunder. The Thunder actually got cheated out of one game because Shea blocked the ball and it was all ball. That should be a jump ball, and that would be enough for them to win. But didn't happen. Ended up being called a foul, and they had to, accept it and move forward. Obviously, the Mavericks outplayed them. Luka is a double double to a triple double each night. He can score when he wants. He can take shots even if they're a little blind because he don't shoot the highest field goal percentage or the higher 3 point percentage, but he is a superstar that can make plays and he is a superstar that can dictate defenses. And Kyrie Irving, he is a baller too. He can handle, he can get to the basket, he can hit a three. He's an offensive firehouse, and this guy is something really special. And he has been since he's been the number one pick, years ago, and he did it with Cleveland. He's going to try to reiterate that with the Mavericks. But Luka, like he been saying, I've been failing Kyrie so much. So, hopefully he doesn't do that in the finals to make it a competitive series. And Boston is a team that, can take advantage of those situations for the benefit of putting them out early. And then the Mavericks obviously played the Timberwolves. I feel like the Mavericks did a great job in that series, containing them, forcing them into tough shots, getting the best out of Luka and Kyrie, role players like Lively. Jaden Hardy steps up. PJ Washington didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but he was a threat in the corner just in case it needed to be done. And I feel like there are others really stepped up to put the Timberwolves away where they others didn't step up. I feel like Mike Conley could have played better. I feel like Anthony Edwards could have played better, but this team is more top heavy because Towns didn't play better and Anthony Edwards played okay. But you need to do more if you want to win a championship. And I feel like that's the lesson they need to learn. McDaniels played a great series hitting the threes, and he played a great series too. But you do have to figure out what do you really want to do as a team? What are you really trying to accomplish? Because this team has so much cap hell coming up in the future, and it is going to be a point where you're going to have to break something up just to stay competitive, and then your championship window might just be closed. And the Timberwolves versus the Suns, this was a sweep. Nobody expected it to be a sweep. They just expected it to be a competitive series. Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, these are snipers. They can get to the basket. They can get to the free throw line. They can make the mid range. They can make the three. They can come at you like a assault. And they didn't really play that well. The problem with them also was defense. And I feel like the Timberwolves gained a lot of confidence once they won two in a row. And then they felt like, we got to have that killer instinct. They're growing. They're figuring it out as they continue to go. And I feel like the Suns just collapsed. They just didn't have nothing. And they just didn't have any motivation to do something special. And then the Timberwolves ended up winning that series. Nuggets, Lakers. Nuggets finally was able to put them out again. 4-1 series. Jokic dominated. LeBron played well. Anthony Davis played well. They just couldn't overcome the depth of the Nuggets and the dominant play of Nikola Jokic. And that was the wrap up on that series. The defense wasn't there. The offensive execution wasn't always there, and they gave it their all. They fought. It was a Herculean effort by LeBron James. It just wasn't enough. His time already happened. His growth is still there. His play is still there. It's a team sport, which LeBron knows, and Nuggets had the better team. And that's all that really mattered in that series was, can you execute? Can you play the right way? Can you get the guys involved? And can you dominate when it's your turn to score the ball? And I feel like the Nuggets did that to win that series. And then for the East, obviously, the Celtics played the Heat. I like that series. Celtics usually play the Heat eventually every year, it seemed like. But we ended up getting past them 4-1. It wasn't really much to learn from this series. We got Tatum, we got Brown, we got Derrick White, we had Drew Holiday, we had Porzingis, we had Peyton Pritchard, and guys like that shooting, scoring, getting out in transition, having fun, shooting tough shots and making them look easy. And the defense was there, but the Heat did the best that they could with the talent that they had, and they had a lot of injuries. Same with the Cavaliers. I don't think this matchup really mattered after Donovan Mitchell chose to sit down. And that was basically the end of the series. He got so much firepower and so much ability to take over games and so much ability to get hot, just like Darius Garland. And also, losing Jared Allen wasn't easy either because he's a rebounder. He's a guy that can get you extra possessions. He's a guy that can finish around that paint. And he's a guy that can set great screens. And he wasn't available in that series either. But the Celtics got to get credit because they took care of the opposition in 5 twice. And they ended up sweeping the Pacers, who lost Tyrese Halliburton in this series. They was 1-6 in the brackets. And the Pacers, they played this high speed passion ball where they can make layups, they can make threes by catching you off guard or getting you unprepared or passing early and just trying to find an open guy and just try to take advantage of it. Thought it was a great strategy. It just the Celtics used time management to put them out. We ain't rushing to beat y'all. We're going to take our time and we're going to put ourselves in a position to win the game. And I feel like they did that, They put themselves in a great position to win the game, and that's why they ended up winning the series 4-0. I feel like the Cavaliers Magic was a great series. I feel like this is great for the Magic to be the 5th seed and playing against another young team that they're going to have to see possibly in the future. The defense, by the Mavericks was great. Their offense is something they still struggling with, but at least they was a worthy combatant for the Cavaliers, even though it's a 4-5 matchup. I think the Magic are closer than we think for being a contender. they still gonna have trouble, winning games because their offense ain't where it needs to be, but their confidence is where it needs to be, and that's something I got to give them credit for. The Bucks ended up getting put out by Indy. They got put out in the first round last year by the Heat, and this year they get put out by Indiana. They just couldn't handle the speed. They just couldn't handle the frequency of how easy it is to score when you're unprepared. And I feel like the Bucks just couldn't adjust. They just couldn't get it to where they needed to go. And I feel like that's why the Pacers ended up winning that series. And they benched, and Pascal was a huge addition. He was able to get to that paint and get easy buckets. Tyrese was able to show his true colors and how excited he is to be a Pacer and how excited he is to be the primary decision maker and ball handler. But he had great sequences where he really showed that he is a budding star and he can be a big game player and a big face for the NBA. And I feel like that's what Tyree showed. He's going to be in Indiana for a long time, and we're going to see if he can dominate like he did this year. He has some off and on games still, but then again, they all do. And he just got to continue to raise his play and his teammates, and he can get further in the playoffs, possibly early, but you never really know. And then the Knicks, they've been the Cinderella story. They ended up beating the Sixers 4-2. The Sixers just don't have enough. Joel Embiid is their offense. He can get a layup. He can hit a three. He can hit the free throws. He can dominate. He's unstoppable. But it comes to a point where you just don't have enough. Kelly Oubre is not enough. Buddy Hield is not enough to compete with these teams. They have multiple weapons. They have multiple people that can hurt you. They have multiple people that can really catch fire. And the Sixers are just a standardized team where they have the basics, they have the fundamental, and they have a superstar that can carry the load. And that's really about it. But the Knicks, they have fun, quick, high speed pace. They have a guy that's always probing and attacking, trying to get layups and threes and setting his team up for the same thing. And then he also can, push that tempo to get guys easier shots. And it just made it easier for them to eliminate the Sixers as they just couldn't adapt and put enough points on the board. And then the Pacers, Knicks, it was a cool series. Indy ended up winning that 4-3. By then, the Knicks was so injury. They were so injured that it wasn't really even a series that people would pay attention to. But by me being an analyst, I ended up watching it, and I was like, wow, they had a lot of fight. They had a lot of pride. They had a lot of genius execution by Tom Thibodeau, but they just ran out of gas. They just ran out of steam, and they just ran out of talent. And that was the difference in the series between the Pacers and the Knicks. And that was a 4-3 series. And then you just had the Celtics and the Pacers. The Celtics and the Pacers wasn't that bad. I feel like the Celtics was going to win that series even if they swept, but of course they was going to sweep a team that was injured, and they lost their best scorer and facilitator. The system runs through Tyrese mainly and Andrew, and they lost one of their biggest decision makers and one of their biggest clutch players and one of their biggest players and one of their other guys that can set up Pascal Siakam and all these guys to get easy buckets. Even the bench can benefit off having a player like that, and they just didn't have it, and the sweep had to come. Now, finals prediction, Mavericks, Celtics, I would say I'll go Celtics in 6. I feel like the Celtics going to get some games where guys get hot, guys going to try to trailblaze you, guys going to try to, get you in foul trouble. I feel like Luka and them, they rather foul bait than actually try to score and actually try to get an easy basket. But we have to be smart. We have to stay on our feet. We have to keep our hands up high, to avoid that situation. We don't want to get them too much confidence and too much courage that they can do, a comeback where a lot of people thought they wasn't that great, and then they finally graduated and got their more success to their story, and now they have, the ample amount of thoughts that they need to execute half court offense. So I feel like the Mavericks really did a great job of knowing what to do against their matchup, being prepared, and knowing how to attack on any type of defense, whether it's Kyrie or Luka. And they can get hot, they can carry the load, they can blitz you, and they can, play on and off the ball and switch up anytime they want to. And it's basically a bucket at this point. But the Celtics guards are bigger, they're longer, they're more athletic, they communicate more, they know what to do and not to do. And I just hope they can stay out of foul trouble, and that will give us an easier way to win. And I feel like our 3-point shooting might be a curse sometimes. Sometimes we get hot, sometimes we take tough ones, sometimes we don't move the ball. And if we can avoid that too, a great extent, we can get easier layups, dunks, and some mid ranges, and that can be the difference in giving them confidence that they can come back and win some games when we can just be focusing on putting them away. But Celtics won 64 games. They know what they're doing. They have been dominant. They have got here before. They have more talent. They have more guys that's ready to go. They are literally one of the best teams record wise in a long time. And, even though we don't want to see injuries, I'm hoping that there's no injuries for the Celtics or the Mavericks going into this series. Hopefully they can really duel it out and see who's the best team. A lot of people are now respecting the Mavericks a lot more since they got this far, and you just have to give them credit. They executed, they played well, they dominated, and they stars delivered, 3 rounds in a row. And can they deliver it the fourth? Well, I don't know, but I definitely think the Celtics match up well and they score better and they just can put so much points on the board that even the Mavericks would struggle trying to keep up with them. And I feel like once you get behind and once you start getting more shots on you, then it can be small, ways for you to come back. But the Mavericks have came back against the Wolves and other teams, and they was able to close out and win those games. And that show you the pride of them. That show you the consistency of them. But you don't want to get too far behind against the Celtics because this is a different team. This is a different game plan. This is a better defensive team. And you can't really rely on what worked against against a team that really has no similarities. Other than that, Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, signing out. I know y'all miss me. I know y'all like, where this guy gone? He was gone for a year, but I came back and gave y'all something new, something fresh. I'll be back the rest of the year. You might see some final stuff, some draft stuff. You might see obviously what to expect, rundown, probably some breakdown, some Wimby, some Cade Cunningham, but analysis breakdowns. And I got content. I just had to go through a little bit of stuff, get to where I needed to go. And other than that, I'm doing well. It's doing great. And it's good to talk to y'all again. Good to give y'all another classic again. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of y'all day. And I'll be seeing y'all as more uploads come out.